free press from '89 when they won the chip. It says "Not Bad Boys" and it's Isaiah with the trophy.
That's so tough. That's so tough.
Stretching it.
Oh man.
Oh, getting
Oh, yeah,
stretched
it
out.
goes hard.
So
Goes hard. But what up, Doe, baby?
we-
Indiana, baby, we are live. What's going on, y'all?
Live.
Welcome to Woodward
Live.
Pistons Table Talk.
We live,
baby.
we live, baby, we live.
We are here. I'm your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, my co-host, my co-pilot, my tall glass of Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid.
A lot of sugar,
Good to see you,
a lot of
brother.
sugar, a lot of sugar,
Lots of sugar,
Kool-Aid.
lots of sugar.
Lots of sugar.
That's right. All the time.
Listen,
Hey,
listen,
man,
my
it's
guy
all good.
Kool-Aid's just like real Kool-Aid. You know it's not good for you, but you keep going back anyway.
Come on.
I'm kidding.
Come on.
Kool-Aid,
Oh,
my
look
guy.
at the shirt. Look at the
Come
shirt.
on.
That's cold. That's
That's
cold shirt. Yeah.
Right. Hey, courtesy of the team, Woodward Sports, man. D-Mac, shout out Darren McCarty, man. I love him.
Yeah, I think I got
D-Mac
to
the
get that
goat,
shirt
man.
on.
So my favorite Darren McCarty story is I'm with my mom on Mother's Day, and I take my mom on Mother's Day for her gift for Mother's Day. I take her to go see a play, and we're at the play and we're enjoying ourselves, and all of a sudden it's intermission, and I go to check my phone, and I have a text message from Darren McCarty. Mind you, this is the first time I've gotten a text message from Darren McCarty, just him reaching out to me. And mind you, this is the middle of Mother's Day. So it's like, okay, this must be something that he's reaching out to me about. And it was him showing me, him showing off the fact that he had skewers hit into his head the night before in an extreme wrestling match. He apparently went to some wrestling promotion,
D-Mac, man.
got attacked with skewers in his head, and was like, check it out. This is awesome. I'm like, dude, it's Mother's Day, bro. I'm at a theater and I just am looking at my phone and I have Darren Party with freaking skewers sticking out of his head. I'm like, what the hell?
Hey, man, them hockey players be tough, man. They be tough, man. Them hockey players, they don't get enough credit for being tough as they are.
They're crazy.
Oh, that's my boy.
Hey,
What's
guys,
up, buddy?
Kool-Aid.
What up,
going
Kid
on,
Kool-Aid?
What's up, Kid Kool-Aid?
Hey, let him see your
Hey.
jersey. He got his custom jersey on.
Hey, Kid
Oh, man, I
Kool-Aid.
see it.
Hey, Kid Kool-Aid, real quick. Tell people where people can find you on social media, the work that you're doing covering the Pistons.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Kid Kool-Aid.
D-E-T.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I follow you all.
Oh yeah.
I
You
follow
can find me on Instagram.
He's coming to
follow
take
you
my
already.
job already, man.
Yes, Kid
Yeah,
Jaden.
man, you're not even 15 yet, and you're already trying to come and take my job. What's up with that, man? I'm trying to get food.
You come
I'm
Uncle Sean's job, bro?
I'm trying to chase my dreams. You're already better than me, man. What's going on with that, dude? No, I'm just kidding, man. It's good to see you, little bro.
Hey, man, be cool, man. Stay cool, Kid Kool-Aid. Be a cool kid, man. It's rare.
But
We
Hey,
need you.
Thank you. Thank
hey,
you.
but Kool-Aid, we have some new friends on the table talk that you are going to have to help introduce to myself and to the rest of the community, my guy. So let's do that, shall we? I mean, the table talk, we know, is a ever rotating cast of characters. You and I,
Yes.
you know, that's like Death, Taxes, and Sean and Kool-Aid are going to be on table talk, right? You know what I'm saying? But we're always glad to see some new friends join us. So Kool-Aid, who's with us today?
Man, I've missed this first and foremost. I've missed this. I really have, y'all. The season has brought change. I told the guys this before we went live. And it's good change, getting used to covering the season, all of us, content being different, the way that we're seeing the game being different. It's been an awesome experience, but it's brought so much work and just a disjointed schedule, bro.
I mean, the biggest thing is, this guy to my left, he's trying to say it in a super humble way, but this guy to my left is big time over here and is going to Pistons games, covering them in person, going and doing that work. And so with that, it's a disjointed schedule. We're all busy, but my guy is in there
Don't
doing
listen
the
to
work,
him, y'all.
baby.
I appreciate you. I know, realistically, that was a culmination of a lot of the things that we had worked on, and we're still hopeful and still going to provide coverage, man. We are just the same way that we stated. I saw somebody talking about the watch party, and that is on the way. And I can't wait for people to be able to get in and see our whole cast and crew and get Sean in here to Detroit and tell people a little bit about that in a little bit. I do want to get to some of our new people on the panel here, but I just wanted to speak to. I'm glad to be back on this. We're gonna definitely make this something regular occurring, especially
with
as we
the
get closer
season
to
winding down now too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. But Charles, I'm happy to have you here. You guys might have seen his face if you've been on the Woodward Pistons channel already. Charles is an aspiring journalism writer, sports journalism writer. I think he has a career, honestly, on this side of it too, and the video part of it as well. But Charles, tell the people a little bit about yourself. He helped, Woodward Sports and myself. I'm grateful to him. I'm always about making sure people get their credit. Land a George Blaha special in an interview, and more on that interview is on the way as well. And that was huge, man. That was really, really huge for us to be able to talk to a legend like that who was called Pistons basketball for over 47 years. So he's come in and he was like, I know I got that intern label, but I'm trying to go as far as we can go. So Charles, man, tell the people your name, tell them a little bit about yourself. Yeah, man, tell them how long you've been a Pistons fan too.
All right, guys. Yeah, that was a lot, but I appreciate it. But to start, my name's Charles Ballone. I'm from Toledo, Ohio, but my family grew up in Detroit. So my grandpa and my dad, they all grew up on 6 Mile. So that was pretty cool. I go to Bowling Green State University, Bowling Green, Ohio. So I'm a student right now. I'm a sophomore. Should be looking to progress my communications major coming up this next semester. Yeah, man, I just love the city. I've been a Pistons fan since I was about 9 years old, I believe. My first favorite Piston, I'd have to say, I actually really liked. I was telling Brandon this at the game. I was telling Kool-Aid this at the game. I actually really liked Tobias Harris, and I know that was a little bit after that.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the Sean Murphy experience.
I'm sorry.
Welcome.
I'm totally kidding. I'm sorry. I love Tobias Harris. I was just
Tobias
waiting for the game.
got game, man. Tobias got game, man. He got game.
The first,
He does. He does. It's just for me. It's like when my first Piston, like my very first game was in 2004. The Pistons came to my hometown in Grand Rapids, and at the Van Andel Arena, it was the Pistons versus the Dallas Mavericks. I got to see Dirk Nowitzki. I got to see the NBA champ. It was the first game they played after winning the championship. Like, I got to see Ben Wallace, so like whenever I hear people, it's like, my friend Troy, who hosts the podcast with me, like he started watching during like his first year was the Jonas Jerebko rookie season. Like that was like his highlights as a child for Pistons, for like watching the Pistons. Like my heart just goes to the people who's like, there's people on Twitter who like regularly say their highlights as a Pistons fan are when Brandon Jennings went off for like 20 something games. And I'm like, oh man, that just hurts. It hurts the heart. Because there's better days than that. I promise.
Listen, man, that 12-game stretch was
let me ask you, Sean, let me ask you this. You think that's what Brandon Jennings is known for and not the Blake Griffin dunk?
Man.
I think the Blake Griffin dunk was Brandon.
Man.
That was Brandon Jennings. Yeah.
Man, it's there. I mean, in fairness to Brandon Jennings, though, there's so many guys that got posterized by Blake. It's like you could go around. You know what I mean?
I was thinking of the DJ dunk in the Clippers versus Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight, like he ended his career on that dunk, bro. That's the one I was.
You know what? I'm wrong. That's who it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was
DeAndre Jordan.
It was horrible.
Hey, you know what?
So
many bad. It's been so many rough years. It all blends together. It all blends together. Hey, Charles, we're happy to hear you, man. Kool-Aid, go ahead and keep introducing people, man. Sorry to keep interrupting.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
I get too excited.
But Charles, man, anything else you want to tell the people?
No, I was just gonna say, kind of like kind of like my most memorable Pistons moment wasn't really like my first game was at the Palace, and it was Anthony Davis's like fourth season, I believe. It was on the Pelicans, and it was a game he dropped 59, and I went with my dad, and I was like, dude, I don't know. I was like kind of like questioning if I want to be a Pistons fan after that game, but then like I stuck with it, and you know what? Like he embarrassed the whole team that night, but I like stuck with it, and I've just been a Pistons fan ever since. So it was definitely cool to see that though, for sure.
Bro, do you know how many Pistons fans I know that game? Like old, young, middle, everybody knows that Anthony Davis game, bro.
It was crazy, dude. It was a good game to go to for the first one because like that's the game I met. I'm pretty sure that was the first game. That was Tobias's first game in Detroit after the trade from the Magic. I believe so. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he just arrived, and then we had Stanley Johnson that year. We just drafted. He was a rookie. That obviously didn't end up too well, but he was a good guy for sure.
I'm seeing ghosts thinking back to that game, man. Oh my god, that's like top 5 worst memories as a Pistons fan. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm
for
fine.
sure.
Everything's fine, but no, but
That's
also
all for me though. That's all I gotta say, honestly.
well, hey, we're glad to have you here, man. Seriously.
I appreciate it.
I'm glad you
Glad to
made
be
the
here.
time, man. I'm glad you're hungry. He's hungry. So
Hey,
I'm glad
Charles,
you're Charles.
Hey, Charles, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say, you know, my son, I got an autistic 12-year-old son, and we actually call him Uncle Balone, man. We got it from Baloney, but we just call him Baloney as a nickname, but we switched it to Uncle Balone. So for
Yeah,
you
dude,
to have Charles Balone, you're the
ever
only person
since,
I know.
ever since
Go
elementary
ahead.
school, my teachers would always say baloney. Like when they were calling attendance for the first time, they'd be like Charlie Baloney, and I'd be like embarrassed. So
Hey,
I
nothing
always gotta
wrong with
like
it, man.
correct them. Even in college, like some of the professors today, they still do it, and it's just like embarrassing. But it's cool, like you know, like it kind of gives
Cool,
a character in a way.
It is, bro. It's always character behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jalen, turn around. We want to talk to Jalen. Jalen, they said that. I want to see what Jalen. Jalen got a lot of experience. I know he got something to say.
It's good, brother, man. I'm excited for this edition as well, man. Jalen, the Woodward Pistons team is excited to have you here, and I know that you know, with the professional aspirations you have, that relationship might be growing as well, man. Tell the people about yourself, man, what you're about to be doing or what you're hoping to be doing as well. And how long you've been a Detroit Pistons fan. It's always nice to get that perspective.
Well, I'm Jalen Horn. You know, y'all may have seen me, you know, on Twitter. I'm a little uncensored in the fun way. You know, I like my sports teams from Detroit, you know, West Side to be exact, you know, take care of that. I like doing photography, but I like doing video work too. So when it comes to sports, I love filming sports, you know, writing about it. I went to school for that, you know, writing about it, you know, discussing it, all that good stuff, man. I've been blessed to have a lot of mentors that helped me, whether it was shooting, you know, events and whatnot. So like, I just like the whole social media, you know, production role. That's what I love to do. And you said the Piston one, right? My favorite Piston moment, or how long I've been a Piston fan?
Yeah, how long you been a Pistons fan? And you can wrap in the moment, whatever moment.
I got one for y'all because this is rare. I've been a Pistons fan since I was, you know, born, obviously, but 2004 was that I think that was the semifinals. Was that the semifinals triple OT game with the Nets?
Yep.
Was that the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to that game as a kid. I was 5 years old. It was on the Jumbotron. I still had a sign from the game in the basement. So that's probably one of my favorite moments at that game. I mean, we lost the game though, but you know,
I mean, dude, that's one of the best.
epic.
That's one of the best playoff games of the last 25 years. Like that is that is a game to brag about, whether you won or not.
And this was a playoff game too, so we were sitting high, like, you know, back when, you know, we were sitting super high up. But I mean, it didn't matter because like it was the best, you know, Chauncey hit that shot. You know, I was like, oh, okay. You know, I couldn't stand the Nets back then. I didn't like Kenyon Martin a lot, so it meant a lot to beat them. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite Piston moments in recent time because it hasn't been that many good ones. But yeah, that was my favorite moment for sure.
And Jalen's brave, man, because he's coming on here after, like, you know, he's met me in person. Like before I had, like, he's known me before I had a following. He's seen me as a lunatic Pistons fan, like in the arena. So for him to like be willing to come up here. Like, you're brave for that. Like seriously,
No,
like
it's
good on
love,
you.
bro. It's love, bro. I know it's love, bro. We have our moments on social media. Watching the Pistons. That's been the best time to watch them. But we hanging in there.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of we hanging
it's
in
always
there.
fun whenever we see each other at games, man. It's always a good time.
Yeah, So I'm happy to just be here, man. Whatever y'all got for me, I'm with it, 100%.
Dope. Hey, I see that, man. Fave moment, Tayshaun blocking Reggie Miller on the chase down, baby. Hey,
I mean, you
love
really
it.
can't go wrong, man.
Shout
That's
out.
that's an all-time great one. That's an all-time great one for sure.
Yeah, that's a good.
Man, I think Tayshaun Prince is one of the most underrated NBA players of like the last 20 plus years. Like, we look at like the prototypical like 3-and-D wing. That is Tayshaun Prince. Like, he was the prototype of like what people are looking for right now.
100%. I agree with that one.
Yeah, but look, y'all.
Well, go ahead.
Oh no, what's good?
I was gonna launch my favorite moment. My favorite. I'm probably older than all y'all, but it's cool. Benny Johnson clutch shot, and was that game 7 or 6? Do y'all remember that? Yes.
A microwave. Yes. I wasn't born yet, but I've seen the clips.
Yeah, I wasn't around for that one, but I didn't see the highlights.
We went on YouTube for it. It felt like we were there.
Yeah, that
was like my first. Me being old, that was my first. But like, if I said one of the most exciting pitching moments for me was probably when, and I was dead smack in front of the TV at every game. I had a lot of pairs of shoes of this guy, but when Grant Hill dunked on Alonzo Mourning, might be one of the might be one of the best ones.
Oh yeah,
Grant Hill was very, very. To me, Grant Hill was the first, and I may be swinging it a little higher with this one, but he had some LeBron James tendencies. He was a real takeover guy. A lot of injuries played Grant Hill, man, but I don't think he ever excelled. He'd had a great career, but if he would have stayed here and stayed healthy, it would have, I think, top 5 best players, man. Grant Hill was really a great player, but had a lot of things in between that 5.
Definitely next level, man. I remember when he flipped Alonzo Mourning as well, man. Like, all of it was just awesome to see that he came here with a reputation for not really being a guy who would be able to tough through that type of play. And he actually wound up being a guy that a lot of other players were like, he wanted to become like a measuring stick or barometer. Like, Grant Hill is the tough guy now. So it was dope to see that. And he adopted that while he was here as a Piston. I wish it would have worked out, man. That was my guy. If y'all been on this platform, y'all know y'all heard me talk about Grant Hill. Man, that was my guy. Like the first pair of like pro like sports shoes I had, the first jersey I bought, man. My kids still running around with the steel jerseys. It was it, man. Like, Grant Hill was that deal. He was that deal.
When we added Allen Houston, I just know we was on our way, man. I didn't know what happened with that combination, but we had a great combination with him and Allen Houston, and Lindsey Hunter was playing pretty good at the time, but I just knew him and Allen would have been. I don't know if it clashed. I don't know if it was the offense or the coaches back then, but that duo didn't pan out like I thought it would, either.
Yeah, no, man, that would have been something, man. I feel like Grant Hill might have stuck around, but who knows? But I want to get into these topics now. The Jaden Ivey. I want to talk Scoot and Brandon Miller, but the Jaden Ivey one, I just want to start off with, where's the love for Jaden Ivey, man? I thought it was funny. NBA.com for a couple weeks in a row had Jaden Ivey ranked 5th, and I get it. The Pistons haven't given anybody any reason to really tune in if you're looking for wins and losses. But as it relates to Jaden Ivey, I believe that he hasn't necessarily gotten the attention that he's deserved for what he's actually doing out there on the court. And obviously we're focused and zeroed in on him game by game, and then going back. And some of us freaks are like going back and rewatching those games and going back and rewatching how everybody's head is like, I know everybody in the comments is like,
disgusting folks. Yeah. We have some real nasty people out there, myself included. Anyway.
Yeah. And I'm seeing people, bro, who have been like, I didn't really believe in Ivy. I mean, people who were actual Ivy detractors saying, like, who are watching him every day, like, yo, you know what? I was wrong on Ivy.
Still have Steve Burke worldwide dodging me, by the way. I ain't forgetting, Steve. All this hating on Jaden Ivey. Anyway, keep going. Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it just I mean, you get the gist, man. You get the point. Jaden Ivey, there's no love for him. Bro, listen, they even ranked him behind Benedict Mathurin, who didn't play for like 3 weeks. Even though Jaden Ivey went on a little bit of a streak where he was putting up stats better than his actual season numbers, bro. And it's just not making sense. I mean, like, either 28% shooting from 3 for Benedict Mathurin. If that's not going to do it for you, I don't really, a weaker facilitator. I don't know what's going on. I mean, no, it's somebody. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm right, let me know. I don't know.
So
he's getting overshadowed by the new Ben Wallace, which is Durant. Durant is the new. I would build around Durant. That's what I would do.
That's my guy.
I love Jalen Durham, man. I'm absolutely with you. I love him. But I think the real thing is a lot of times, and especially in the NBA world, first impressions like have a lasting impact, like especially like how we perceive players, how we perceive teams. And right off the bat, the first 10 games, you like the first 2 months, the hot topics in the NBA world were Benedict Mathurin, the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, how amazing that like all of those guys have been. And they all have been great this year. Can't take anything away from them. But if you stop paying attention and you just go off your first impressions, then you don't realize what's actually happening. If you watch Jaden Ivey's, season, how he developed at first, he looked like a rookie that was learning how to play on a night-to-night basis, who was put into a position to have the number one guard duties when he wasn't expecting to in his first season, let alone each and every single night. And then on top of that, you talk about all the injuries, all the different circumstances, but then, like people just stop paying attention because, like you said, Kool-Aid, it's like, oh, well, these games aren't quote unquote meaningful because they're not in the playoff race. But in reality, these reps are ultimately going to, really play dividends, I think, in the long run of his development, because you talk about next season, like one of the storylines we had before this season was, how much is Cade going to have the ball in his hands? How much is Jaden Ivey going to have the ball in his hands? And it was like a real concern. Now it's not a concern. It's a good problem to have because both have shown that they're more than capable playmakers. They're both more than capable ball handlers and can make good decisions with the basketball, but also both can score it at just about any level now too. Like Jaden Ivey's like improved a lot in his mid-range game since the beginning of the season as well. So yeah, man, I know a lot of people like tune out when and look at the results, and I know we can get tied up in that a lot, but I mean Jaden Ivey, especially like in the last month since February 3rd, he's averaging 16.6 assists, shooting 40% from the field, 36% from 3, 73% from the line. We'd love to see that higher, but that's solid, especially for the last month for a rookie.
Yeah, I did an article where I tracked the other rookies around him that were drafted around him. Paolo, Benedict Mathurin, Keegan Murray.
Even Paolo's been having a rough month or two, by the way.
Paolo fell off hard.
And Jabari. And when you look at the stats over the last 20 games,
Keegan Murray's been good though.
I don't know. Jaden Ivey, there's been other rookies like Jalen Williams and Kessler and some of these other guys.
Jalen Williams, man.
The Chargers.
Jalen Williams looks really good.
He's giving Paolo one for his money for Rookie of the Year, man.
Yeah. He looks really good.
Jalen is something different. And that's a guy who, if they want to say, I think Jalen Williams is somebody to look at in terms of this potential or in terms of at least this year above Jaden Ivey, I'm not really going to argue with you. But as it relates to this disrespect towards Detroit's rookies, it's like, to put it in context, irregardless of who we believe between Jalen Duren or Jaden Ivey, this same list had Jalen Duren ranked 10th. And it's just like, I don't know necessarily what people are looking at, because Jalen Duren over these last 20 or so games is putting up people that are talking about Kessler. And I know those blocks per games matter, but Jalen Duren on the offensive side and what he's been able to do in the same amount of time has had a similar impact. And it just seems like the league, they did it with Cade Cunningham last year. It's just like, I mean, I just don't really get it, because Jaden Ivey has been realistically putting up. I mean, he's leading all rookies in assists per game. And he's just been going out there and doing really anything they've asked him to do. Obviously, got weaknesses in his game to clean up, but it's just like, come on, people.
I think it's.
Kool-Aid,
I
let
think
me
it's.
say. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's crazy to look at where he's at even now, even without Cade on like being healthy and not even having Cade as another option to even just support him at all. So I think like at this point in the season next year, like we'll be looking at a whole different Jaden Ivey, like substantially improved Jaden Ivey because of Cade. So that's all I wanted to add.
Well, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Diamond. You're good. You're good.
No, I was gonna say, the record. I mean, even if we balling out, man, the record is probably another reason why they not, giving no highlight to it. I mean, you can score. Let me use my buddy for Imani Bates for as an example. I love Imani, man. Imani like a neighbor to me. I'm probably like 20 minutes away from him right now. Not even that 15. But him and my son is really cool. Monty was putting up, man, he did 20-some points straight. Each couldn't get a win. So of course they was just gonna look at him like, oh, these are great, but they can't win. It's kind of the same scenario with the Pistons. We got great players, but we just can't put it together. So I think if we had a better record and we was more of a winning team, they would give Ivy more credit.
It's just sucks though, because it's like with rookies, they're getting traditionally drafted to bad teams. Like the notion is, to me at least, is supposed to be if Jaden Ivey is going out there. Like if I put Jaden Ivey on Indiana Pacers right now, I think that they're getting a little bit more out of Jaden Ivey off the bench than they're getting from Benedict Mathurin right now off the bench. But just because he's in a Piston jersey, it's just like, nah, we're just gonna act like he's not more efficient, not a better scorer, hey, y'all told me he was a better three-point shooter than Ivy. That's what everyone told me. I remember I got the receipts. I remember the beginning of the season. Even with Jaden during some of these questions that people had, it was like, nah, if he gonna pass his big man triage, and that is just enough for him to be considered a next level rookie. And it just seems like, and you're right, it's almost like they're not going to give these young players any credit unless they win like veteran players. And it's just like, that's the conundrum. It's just like, how does that work?
In the NBA world, go ahead, Jalen.
That's how, my bad, man. That's how Keegan in Sacramento is. They're winning, so he gets more looks, obviously. I think Indiana's a playing team, like a game or two out, right? They're like number 11. So you see Ben Math getting more looks, like that. Apollo went number 1, so he's getting good looks. But like Jaden Ivey, second half, he's almost pushing 1,000 points too in the season for a rookie. And that's pretty good. But like, like Diamond said, like we aren't winning, so they're not gonna look at us. Like with Imani Bates, your point, he was third team all MAC. Like he should have been at least first team, but they weren't winning, so he got overlooked. So if we, it'll change once you start winning. But like, the NBA is a little weird when it comes to that, I'll say.
Yeah. I double down on what you're saying too, Jay. I think, like I said, I tell people I had this argument all the time. Imani he's got an NBA game to me. Like he should have I would have sat out a year, either went to the G League or got my training on. And then, when I was eligible to leave, I would have left. Everybody make their own decisions. I'm not mad. He's a smart kid too. Everybody don't talk about this, but he got great grades, man. He was a good kid when it comes to that. He was kind of overshadowed by what happened to him. But playing at a high level, even if you at your highest level, you ain't winning. I just think you just don't get the look. It's just some people probably think, why would I follow them? They ain't going nowhere. Even they got a great player, kind of be overshadowed by losing, and that's just the bottom line. That's how sports go.
And so, through his first 60 games, Jaden Ivey became the 4th player in the NBA history to have 900 points, 225 rebounds, 250 assists, and 75 3-pointers in their first 60 games.
Cared that LeBron James was losing when he came into the league.
The 4 players to do that in history are Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Luka Doncic, and Steph Curry.
Was Luka winning when he was getting all of his fanfare, or was he just putting up good stats?
Well, their record did improve. They weren't winning as far as like, getting in the playoffs. They like almost made the playoffs, but like they, relatively speaking, they did improve. I think it comes down to the fact that the only way, like you generally see, like, like bad teams with rookies that like they get credit, like they get that type of love and credit as if their record does improve. And I think the reality with the Pistons was just there were too many extenuating circumstances for that to, not really be the case. And, I do think, the difficult thing too is like to this class's credit, like there is a lot of really good talent, and especially of the past half, there are players that are surging. Like it is difficult because you look at guys like Jalen Duren who are playing awesome, but on the other hand, Walker Kessler is playing awesome as well. He's just on a team that also they're just playing important basketball.
man.
They're just contributing to those moments. So
we haven't even seen Chet Holmgren yet either. So that's crazy.
Which by the way, I'm so glad you said that.
I hope Sean's friend. That sounds.
I hope all of the original listeners and all the people that have been here in Table Talk from the beginning know that if Chet Holmgren comes in next year and just takes this team to the next level, like I think he's going to, I'm going to be so annoying about it. Anyway, that completely takes away from the entire point. I think it's going to be very akin to how the national media has woken up to what's happening with the Lions, right?
You know what?
It's going to take that type of uproar. It's going to take that type of breakout, which with the cap space they have, the draft lottery odds they have, is very likely to happen. Like people are going to be waking up, and let's be honest, Troy Weaver is going to have money to work with. People are going to be waking up to what's happening in Detroit very soon.
And
John, don't bring up them Lions. Don't bring up them Lions no more, man. They just traded our attitude. When they traded our running back, we were supposed to go back in the season with him, man. Don't bring up them Lions, Sean.
Well, I get it, but at the same time, though, to his credit, he's not making decisions based off of emotion. David Montgomery, like as much as I love Jamal, he did come and set a record this last year. David Montgomery is a back, man. Like that guy is he can play. And if you put him behind that line, like with all due respect to Jamal, I think he can go and break the franchise record too. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Sean.
Hey, I want you to know my heart was broken.
Taking the notes right now.
I'm not saying this out of joy. My heart is broken. I want you to know.
Right.
I am dead inside.
He's a bear. He's an ex-bear, man. You know you got to be.
I'm with Sean, though. I'm with Sean on that one. I'll double down on that.
Like the line, like that's the first time.
Triple down
to their credit, to the Lions' credit, that is the first time in a long time that they made what might be the objective right business decision that really goes against the emotion side. Like that, like the Lions always used to deal in emotion, which was really funny with the fact that they wouldn't take care of guys like Calvin. But that's a whole other conversation. But this isn't a Lions podcast, but ultimately, like the analogy still stands that if the Pistons start winning, people will be noticing, and that was the original point.
Yeah. What I want to say is, I'm glad you brought up the Lions though, because the way they're doing things is different than the way we've seen the same old Lions do things. And the way the Pistons are doing things are similar. They're not worried about really the emotion of things. They're worried about getting it right. The old Pistons would have locked Sadiq Bey up for 50 years at $100 billion. That's just what they would have done. But instead, they saw an opportunity to get better, and they took that shot. Think about what we've done. The Andre Drummond situation would have reoccurred with all of these rookies underneath previous regimes. Think about the guys we hung on to, the guys I don't even understand how we gave up on some of the guys we did early versus the guys we gave contracts to. So it's like to see Troy Weaver kind of operating in a way where, he'll cut bait with his own. He'll go out there and do some shrewd moves because Jeremy Grant was a guy that he wanted. And he still was like, "Oh, Jaden Duren. Hey, Jeremy, I like you. Maybe next free agency." Like, you know what I mean? It was like, jeez. He was just talking him up.
Is that a real report? Is that like a real report, like going around that he could actually come back to Detroit this offseason?
It's always a possibility because he's a free agent and Detroit has the most money. So everyone's going to put out speculative pieces like who's a player.
I would go back and get him. I would go. That's just me.
So
I would go back to Jeremy.
From what I've heard from my sources, I think the Pistons will more than likely make an offer. I think it's going to come down to what Jeremy wants to do. And so that's from like the stuff that I've that I've put together, but here's the speculation. Here's NBA bigger picture part. The Portland Trailblazers went and traded for Jeremy Grant because they wanted to reshape their roster and try and contend with Damian Lillard. And the results are they were dogs. So with that, as good as Jeremy Grant was, as good as Jeremy Grant was, and as good as he fit, as much as he's like a guy that would fit well alongside Damian Lillard. I mean, Damian Lillard said himself he doesn't want to be in another rebuilding situation. And at the very least, Portland is probably going to try to reshape their roster around Dame again. At the very most, they're going to go full fire, right? But at the very least, they're going to be doing something. And if you're in Jeremy Grant's shoes, you have the opportunity this summer, and it's essentially between Detroit and Portland. And let's do a little bit critical thinking here. One situation is a place that I like, people I all know, all young players with good vets that can, where the trajectory's going up. Or the situation in Portland where it's going down. Like CJ McCollum was there a few years ago. They got to the Western Conference Finals. I personally don't think with Damian Lillard in Portland, unless they go get like a super duper star to play alongside Dame, that they're going to be able to do a damn thing. So like the reality of it is, if I'm Jeremy Grant, if you look honestly at it, like really the only reason they traded him in the first place was because at the time circumstances looked different. We were able to go get another young piece to add to this core, but hey, things can change very quickly.
I forgot what that pick we got turned into.
It turned into Jalen Duren.
All right, that was definitely worth it then.
Yep. We traded. We acquired a pick from the Bucks, which we flipped to eventually turn into getting Jalen Duren.
So 13th, that's right.
But the important thing to note about that though is how Troy handled the trade, because most of our general managers haven't been the best at handling business or being like Stan Van Gundy, as good as he was as a coach, wasn't the best at the player management side of things. But Troy worked with Jeremy during the trade and actually sent him to a place that he wanted to go, which is important because that opens the door for future things like this. So Troy Weaver could have flipped Jeremy Grant for a year, essentially gotten us the odds to go get Victor Wembanyama, end up getting Victor Wembanyama and Jalen Duren, and oh yeah, Jeremy Grant's back. Imagine if that happened.
Let's throw Alec Burks in there. We can toss him in there too.
Oh, and Bojan. And Bojan.
And Bojan. And
Bojan. You go from having lack of wing depth to, you might have some of the best wing depth in the league there.
That's why I think it's silly, though, for the NBA and as a whole, the people who cover it to just say, you know what? They have all this high-profile young talent. They have these people that are going to come in here and win skills challenge competitions, win Rising Stars MVPs, wind up on first-team All-NBAs, and be legitimately one free agency away from being the NBA's media darling next season. We're just not going to give them no time. It's just like, sheesh. But that's okay. That's okay. It's a tough watch. Someone that, I forget who asked me that, but someone asked me, yo, how is it, man? Like, you've been to a lot of games. How is it literally having to sit there and watching it from a standpoint of coverage? And from a defensive standpoint, looking at the defense, it's been very, very tough. Looking at the different lineups, trying to figure things out, because there's reasons for that. The injuries, the different lineups. They're young. They need to get better. Maybe the schemes. There's a whole plethora of things that we could probably get into about that. But it'll be interesting to see, because what I see developing right now that you can't artificially grow is a chip on these young players' shoulders that you need for them to be good very quickly. If we're talking about this team's window is to be winning within year 4 or 5, or you can see that there will be winning within 4 or 5 of Troy Weaver, you're going to need this team to kind of go out there and play like every single game of possession matters. Play like they're making up for lost time. Play like, you know what, like how that going to work Pistons team, when they came together, their formidable years, or years 1 through 6, were kind of all put together elsewhere. I think Rip was the one who got more of his younger years, a little bit, I think. Maybe, I don't remember how old or young he was with that Pistons squad. But the other guys, Ben, Rashid, Chauncey, these guys were in year 6 or greater by that time. And it's just, they had chips on their shoulder, and we all know that story. This squad right now, they are being snubbed for stuff. They are being overlooked, and we know that it matters. If it didn't matter, we wouldn't see Cade going out there himself and putting Detroit versus everybody. We wouldn't see Ashton going out there. Shout out Ashton, the trainer. We wouldn't see him going out there. And Cannon, man. Ashton, the trainer, and Cannon got some big things coming up for the city. Just stay tuned. But shout out to Ashton, the trainer, as well. He was going out there, and he's been a mouthpiece. We know that the players, they're only going to say so much, and they can only say so much. But he's continued to go out there and basically state, yo, since I've gotten here, he was like, I've now realized what Detroit versus everybody means. He's literally like a vacuum around Michigan. Like they just don't, even if it's great, nobody cares. And that's something I hope that I know winning will change. I just know that that's going to be the case. Like,
and here's the thing, like we're starting to have media members not even hide it anymore. Like Stephen A. Smith will go on air and publicly say, I will not hide the fact that I am rooting for teams in Los Angeles or Miami, because at the end of the day, for a lot of media people, they care about where it ends up, because they want to know where they're going to be able to go and cover games, i.e. where they can party, where they can chill, where the lifestyle stuff is. So they don't care about, what it means for us. But the reality of it is that, like at a certain point, whether people are going to want to or not, they're going to have to acknowledge what's happening in Detroit. What I'm personally looking forward to is watching all like the national people try to cover the Pistons and like listen to some of their takes and like listen, like it's going to be very clear very quickly who's been paying attention and who hasn't. That's all I'm going to say.
Jen, I want to get the last word on this.
It's going to
I know
become
this isn't
abundantly clear.
Is our market just
really
bad?
Pistons related,
Oh,
but
go ahead.
no, my bad. You go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, is our market just bad? You just think we're just in a bad market?
No, I just think it's
Oh,
I think it's just, I mean, traditionally smaller market, I think it's just the fact that, Detroit as a city has just been on the downturn. I think just traditionally speaking, people will just look at, like if there's not like exorbitant things going on, like winning or greatness, I think especially if the weather isn't the warmest, people will just like be quick to overlook that city, especially with the fact that you talk about the unfortunate reality is every city in America that has a sports team, they always have at least one team that's good. Like that's the thing you can rely on, is you can always have like one team rotating in that you can count on. Detroit's the only city in America that's had all 4 teams be at the bottom for as long as they have for that extensive period. So like, unfortunately, we just haven't been in the conversation over the last few years. And with that, if we're not given them anything to cover, they're just going to turn the blind eye as quickly as they can.
Yeah,
And
and
that's the unfortunate reality.
I do think that something good for the city is the NFL draft next year. I think that's going to be huge for media.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to bring a lot of people to the city.
That's
for
gonna
sure.
be
So,
insane.
Well, but honestly though,
that's just the start though, for real.
I'm trying to see everybody out there.
But
I'm
real
trying
talk
to see
though,
everybody out there.
I'm gonna be there.
but real talk though,
I'll be there too.
but real talk though, that's why this show is so important. That's why this channel is important. That's why personally I get up and do what I do each and every day, because I know personally one of the reasons I got into content creation was because I, as a longtime dedicated Pistons fan, was sick and tired of not seeing the team that I love and respect and admire not get the coverage that I think it deserves. And so for me, one of the things I've said to the Pistons organization, one thing I'll say to the fans, like my goal is to give this city, that, this team, like the coverage that it deserves. And that's, that's one thing I love about Kool-Aid, is that that's his exact same thing. And so each and every time we come out here, it's like, yeah, it is Detroit against everybody. We're not getting any love, but you know what? We're going to come out and do it better than any of them ever wished they could. So that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
You got the spirit already, Sean. You and Kool-Aid, man. Definitely got the spirit. You know what I mean? And y'all focus. So, it's I love it, man. It just feels. It's my first time on the show, man. I feel like it's home. I talk to Kool-Aid a lot of times. I know, Sean, you and Jay support each other over there, and Jalen and Charles.
Which by the way, I don't think we established on the stream earlier, Diamond. We talked about your favorite Pistons moment. We didn't establish your relation to the show, your relation with Kid Jay. Tell us about yourself, my guy.
Oh, okay. Well, if y'all know,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
Diamond Management, man. I just started my own label. I got my distribution with Chris Gotti and Adventure Music. I know got a few connections, but Kid J, Stellar Award winner, America's Got Talent season 16 artist, is my son. He works with Steve Harvey next to the mentoring program. What he doesn't do, he went to school, he goes visit cancer patients, he do everything that rappers outside of the box does. Trying to be different with the narrative. He's teaching and reaching. He just made a whole album without cussing. So
Gotta be a proud father, man.
Yeah, man, it's a very, very proud moment. Very, it's not. I always tell people, parenting don't come with the book, so it ain't about no manual. You're just going off. He was a good kid. So, I was blessed. All I had to do was guide him. So, y'all follow him and watch the journey, man. It's gonna be a big year this year.
Hey, shout out Kid J, for real. Definitely, man. It just the consistency, the grind behind something that he gets to drive, and that's the positivity. Like, I love that. And it's crazy that in that lane of positivity, people still find a way to bring negativity to his doorstep. That's wild.
Yeah.
I will always be a supporter of his, though, man. Definitely check him out, you guys. Check out his mission. It's really good, and it benefits. It's not just I check out the other stuff as well. He's into a lot of things, man. Benefiting youth, education, charities. Less fortunate. That's something that should inspire us all. So
that's dope.
I appreciate you for giving him the spotlight, Sean.
He's a good kid, man.
Yep. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate you, Kool-Aid, for having me on. You and Sean and Charles and Jaden. It's like I said, it's about building, and y'all got the right concept, man. You know what I mean? And I'm hometown Detroit all the way, man. Like when we talk about Detroit, or we talk about all the teams. Like like I said, I'm old school, so I come from the.
You can say it too. You can say it too.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you can say it too.
Yeah, itchy, baby. Yeah, I'm itchy.
Come on.
But when I say I'm old school, I go back to like the Fedorov and Iserman, and when Bob Probert was beating people up. You know what I mean? Like I remember them teams: Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, Cecil Fielder. So I go back. I can keep going back, like I say, way back. And then I got relations, like I got family. Grant Long is a cousin of mine. Tory and Terry Mills is my thing. So.
Terry Mills,
John Long and them, man. I'm tied in already.
Jeez, man, I'm over here cheesing. I'm looking at myself at home, dude.
Shout out to my Long family and my Mills family, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I wanna that's what's up, man. We're gonna have to have a stream where we really talk about these bad boys again, man. It's been a couple months since then, and we're gonna definitely have you on. Have the venerable Terry Foster on, who also covered the bad boys during that time. We're gonna have to do that soon, bro. Wait. I just heard something. Hey,
Carl, my man.
Carl,
what's good?
Yo.
Man, we look like we're doing a new Brady Bunch reboot right now. Like,
here's the story.
Shout out to Lexi and Steve as well. Let me shout them out. You guys definitely don't remember. You guys should. But the Table Talk hosted by Sean and myself and the OG crew, which is still our, man, you guys are just, I get a tear in my eye, man. Lexi, she's just crushing the content game. Steve, man, he's just coming up right now in the content game as well. Shout out to him. He wasn't able to jump on tonight. He and Lexi will be on in the future one. But Carl Collins, bro, you're on fire. Sean, sound effects, something, anything. I saw he got a big retweet as well from one of the Lions. I'm like, bro, all of your let's Sean do the works.
It's Carl Mother Collins, man. I mean, what can I say?
He's going crazy. He's going crazy.
I mean, like that. Like there's nothing else I can say than it's Carl Mother Collins in the mother. I mean, Carl, my God.
Man, I can't complain, man. I when I first started almost exactly a year ago, I never really thought that I'd be getting retweets from players or anything like that. It's kind of a dream that I never thought I wanted or needed or was gonna end up wanting, but here I am. So I just want to thank everybody who's listening and who's been supportive since the beginning. Sean, Kool-Aid, and you guys are actually it really started with you guys, man. My first video I dropped, you wanted to share it on Woodward Pistons, and it's been uphill from there. So I appreciate you guys and everybody else who's watching, who's listened, or who's supported me from the beginning. So
Hey,
I think I follow you now, or my son, Kid Jay, might follow you too, Carl. I'll be seeing some of your content, man. You dope.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate That's what this platform is about. It's just about supporting each other, talented content creators who realistically, they don't need my help or Sean's help to create anything or to do whatever they're doing. A lot of these people are doing great in their own lanes. We just hope to share our platform and our stage and be able to give people just something every single week to come and say, hey, what up to the family? People who understand this content game as well. And just want to be able to come out every week and talk the sport and the team that we love. And I appreciate it. I really do a ton.
That's it, Carl. Hey, Carl, I just want to say, dude, it's crazy. I just love how on top of everything in the city you are, man. Like you're always so up to date with like what's going on in the city, and you always try to highlight like the most important players in your videos, man. And that's what gets the city going, and the fans love it. So
appreciate it, man. Yeah,
I just want to say, man, your work's crazy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's what it's all about, is putting on for the city and representing the city. I feel like when I started, there wasn't, really many people doing highlight mixtapes of Detroit teams. Everything was like Warriors or Lakers or, all those teams that are big market teams. And like nobody really does it for Detroit sports. So that was a niche that I thought I could really, avoid, that I could fill potentially.
Yeah, you've definitely done that and more, bro. Yeah, Charles and Jalen down there are two of our newest members to the Woodward Pistons family and to the Table Talk. And I listen, there were two people actually that Charles mentioned when we met, and he talked about Woodward Pistons and whatnot. And I know you'd already got to meet Jeff and some other people, but it was Sean Murphy and Carl Collins. Like no lie. So I'm grateful that we got to have this thing. He was like, look, I'm gonna be on tonight. I'm gonna be on. Are they gonna be on? Hey, let's rock. So I'm grateful.
I did. Hey, he's not lying. I did. I'm not even joking. I did.
Hey, Carl, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Carl? So do you put music with your highlights, right?
Yeah, I put music, not necessarily Detroit music, but any music that I feel. I usually listen to the song and then imagine kind of what I'm gonna do as far as the video, and if I'm feeling it, then that's what I use.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been branching out to not just rap or hip hop, but also more pop music lately. So
I got you.
Yeah. So if Kid J has some, I haven't really listened to a lot of his stuff yet, but if he wants me to use some of his music, if I get permission from him, then I will.
I sure sent some. Haven't sent some over. Chachi plays a lot of it. He just did a song with Polo Frost, and that's our cousin too. What is that song called? Flip the Switch. It's pretty dope. And then we got a song that we was pushing with G-Mac Cash called 45 Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Jay's gonna give you radio ready music, so you ain't gotta worry about mixing and Carl. You don't do all the swearing and stuff in the music. So I can send a couple over there to you, see if you like.
Yeah, send them over.
Hey, that's what the platform is about. That's what it's about, man. A network of people really trying to network and get this content out there. But Jalen, I wanted to go to you, man, to give a last word or either a first word, bro. Last word on this Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, and the lack of love for our guys, including Cade Cunningham. Or you could start us off, man, on what you think about best player available or best fit between Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller for the Pistons.
Ooh.
Where you going?
First off, I want to say to Carl, I just seen your tweet. I think it was with CJ Chauncey, Gardner Johnson. I think that was you. So, congrats on getting that. Like I know it's just a retweet, but like for content creators, man, like anybody that's known, saying something to you back or anything is a response to like, I can't wait to see you drop that video, man. So keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Capitalizing
yeah.
on that, I just want to say it's crazy too. Chauncey just signed here, so the fact that he was on Twitter looking at that stuff and noticed you, I mean, that's crazy. Like that just shows how in tune the players are to what's going on social media,
Right.
and what
Exactly.
we're putting out there for him. So it's just living proof.
Exactly.
But Kool-Aid said though, Jaden Ivey, man, I've said some things about Jaden Ivey. He's learning. You know, I don't think he had a bad. I think his first half was pretty decent. But his second half without Cade, I think, has been much better. You know, Cade not being around makes Jaden the primarily ball handler. You know, so I think he's had a decent, second half. I think his mid range is it's almost water, man. Like his mid range is pretty tough now. You know, shooting threes, getting to the lane. He does a little. His passing is good. He's a little flashy, but over time I think it'll be more cleaner. Doran, that's my guy. You can look at my tweets from when he got drafted. I was all in. Like I was like, this is my favorite rookie, not Ivy, not. You can look back when he was at Memphis. I was like, this dude's crazy, Like I'm telling you, like he did Chet Holmgren. Like he put him inside the rim. Like I think in the March Madness lab, I'm like, this dude's nice, So Doran's going to be a stud here, man. Like he's going to take over. I'm pretty sure once he gets a little offensive game.
I'm not even putting a cap. I'm just.
I love the
like,
fact with the little
like with his athleticism, with his with his skill set. Obviously, things are a little limited right now, but he's 19 years old. He's the youngest player in the league. Of course, his skill set isn't going to be fully rounded. The things I love are like his potential, especially on like the defensive end, like it's like the moments when he shows his switchability, the moments when he's looking in tune. Like I think for him, it's just like the mental things and just like continuing to get caught up in the game. But I mean, that's anyone his age. Right. So I think, the moments we've seen him like flash his footwork too, man, like, woo wee, man.
And I think, this off season when Darren and Ivy get through that training and get a little stronger, they're going to be tough, man. Cade come back, they're going to be tough. The first year is always like they're being studs right now. Wait till they gain a little weight, get more physical. That second and third year, they're going to be pretty tough, man. I'm telling you. The first year is always like, I'm not going to say a blur, but we get to see a little bit of who they are. So the second year, third year, I think more or less so the third year, they be more complete and we'll really see what we're going to get. But I think it can't ever get better from here, man.
No,
I think Doran has a bigger upside though. I think Doran's upside is a little bit bigger. I know it might be a reach, but I think he's younger, man. Like he's shown a lot. Ivy, we knew Ivy had game, but Doran, we knew he had game too. But he's only 6'10". He could still grow about 3 more inches. He's only 19,
I think Ivy was the known.
Go ahead, Sean.
I think Ivy was the known commodity. I think he was the guy coming in that's like safe, that we know no matter what that he's going to be a solid NBA player, a solid NBA starter. I think with Jalen Duren, like with him, I think he's the Pandora's box of this entire thing. Where with Troy Weaver, that's the importance of having multiple cracks and getting multiple guys in this, where you can have guys like Cade and Jaden Ivey and players that are studs, surefire things, guys that could be potential all-stars. But when you can go get those hidden gems, those diamonds in the rough, those guys that are overlooked, like Jalen Duren, which historically, that's how stars are found. Nikola Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo was in the middle of the first round. Overlooked by a lot of teams as well. Like that's how this all works. So I think with like Jalen Duren, it's like
Sean Murphy.
Do I think he's do I think he's going to be like a superstar? I have no idea. Do I think he's got the potential? Oh my God, of course.
Sean,
Sean,
go stamp that
But
first.
that's back to what you were saying, though. That's back to what you were saying, Sean.
Yes, he will.
Hey, don't put word. Listen, man. I listen. The last time I spoke in absolutes, I got all of King's Twitter coming and laughing at me. Okay, I went and called the Domantas Sabonis trades one of the worst trades in NBA history.
Oh, that backfired bad.
Now the Kings are the 2nd seed. So listen,
did you have to make a video about that?
Dude, I did. I made it where it was like I made a video of like me going back and like of me making that take. And then you ever see Interstellar when he's like knocking, he's like, no, wait. Like I posted that. so funny. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, Sean, like you was.
That's a wild.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Hey,
like I was saying,
I still think I could be
Sean,
right
like
in
you
the long run. Anyway.
like you were saying, Sean, that this will make my point. Imagine if Duran goes through the same process that Antetokounmpo went through. Now, you remember when he came in the league, he went about 160, 70 pounds. You see them second and third year, fourth year, he kicked in, he gained all that weight. He became better. Now, Duran get on a regimen like that. Yeah,
Well, and he's already coming in with a better frame than Giannis ever could have wished of. Like he's got Duran's got a natural, ready to go body. Like as far as like a base to build off of, he might have some of the best I've ever seen out of a 19-year-old.
And he's still growing too, man. Like he probably got a couple more inches left in him, you know.
Yep.
But
that's why I say year two or three, man. By year three, he's probably gonna be unstoppable, man.
I don't know who said this earlier, but whoever said this, I don't know if it was Jalen or whoever else it was, but I love the Ben Wallace comparison. I honestly do. I think it's perfect.
That was Donnie,
Yeah, I think that's perfect, dude. Like that's such a good comparison. Just not even the fact that he's in Detroit, but just like the build and the potential, it's all there.
His blocks are Ben Wallace blocks.
He doesn't. Not quite yet. I would say I think with Ben Wallace, like that's
Sean
like
Murphy.
that is a all-time defensive IQ instinctual player. And as much as I love Jalen Duren and everything he's shown, he hasn't shown that yet. So I'm not going to quite go to. I think it's very akin to. I think the Andre Drummond comparisons are appropriate, and I don't think it. Like I know people might wince and think that's a bad thing, but you talk about the potential that Drummond had, and if he was cast in the right part, like with Jalen Duren, he's not being asked to be the franchise guy. He's not being asked to carry and be the number one guy. Whereas with Andre Drummond, he was just put in the wrong role. You can't be the number one best player in the league when it's a league of 3-point shooters in the league, like the small ball league. And like, whereas like, you know, and the thing that makes Jalen Duren even more scary, it's the guys, and Jalen, you can attest to this. It's the guys that are so athletic and are so dominant like that, where they don't even know what they're capable of, and they don't even know what they can do. Those are the guys that are scary.
Have y'all seen his dunks?
Yeah.
There's times where he looks shocked by his bounce.
Like the way he dunks the ball, like he does pull-ups on all his dunks. I know y'all noticed that.
It's that old Dwight Howard style.
Yeah, and like
he's easy.
Yeah, like we thought Isaiah Stewart was like, you know, one of the strongest dudes. I think Duren has the potential to be one of the strongest dudes in the league. And like, if he gets like an offensive game, whether it's a 15-footer or anything like that, that's an easy 15 and 12 a night. He's getting 10 boards off the bench, you know, like easy.
Yeah, I mean to be.
Can I say when Duren plays, he plays with the mentality more of a Ben Wallace. So that's the comparison too. He's not like, you know, we've seen Drummond give up a lot of nights, man, where he didn't want to play. Duren
to be fair, I don't think. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think Drummond had like a full like potential of talent around him as Duren even does at age 19. Like the talent around Duren right now has so much more potential than I think anything around Andre. I mean, Andre Drummond's he had a point guard at one point named Steve Blake. Like that's just how you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone right now is that bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's the reality that, you know, he and Reggie Jackson were being cast to go and try and contend to do things in the Eastern Conference. I mean, that's just a whole other conversation.
I mean, he didn't even get like an all-star teammate, like a legit all-star teammate until Blake Griffin came, and that was like towards the end of his tenure in Detroit. So by that time, it was already like, you know, he already done enough. So I feel like where Duren's even at, I mean, Duren's 19, like you guys said, like where he's at now, it's just crazy to even imagine what he could do.
And the most promising team he had, they didn't even want to pay for. No, I was just saying the most promising team Drummond had with Tobias Harris, they didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah,
that's you're right, Balone, about that, man. You absolutely right. But again, you even being in that role of being that person they look forward to, you know, look to, you still got to take it on head on, man. And, you know, that's the you know, it's the killer instinct. Even if your team ain't good, you gotta have it. You know, I agree. I think Drummond's a great player. He gave up a lot of time. I've been to a lot of games where I looked, I said, Drummond, what are you doing? Why are you shooting that three? Why are you not there? Things like that.
Because nobody else was there. I think when you don't have the basketball culture, and that's what a lot of people are missing with what Troy Weaver is doing right now. they didn't have a lot of like basketball culture going into what was being built with that previous team. And you could see it even with the way that the guys hung out. Like the owner was, trying different things, but it was like, is it forced? Is it real? Are these guys even cool? Like, oh, come out to my hillside mansion for a party.
Yeah.
This team, though, is getting surprise birthday parties and go on together at secret hookups with Sada Baby and stuff. So it's like
Sada out there,
Sada Baby and stuff. Yeah. So it's like, you see this team. When I went to the Grant Classic, and Sean and I, we did a nice recap on that, which you can still find on the channel. When I went to the Jeremy Grant Classic, which was kind of like his kind of going away, his goodbye, and I was able to get this bomb poster. We saw the camaraderie that they had there. We saw just how real it was in the connection. I've continued to see that these guys are really like brothers. And then when you start to realize a lot of these young guys came up on the AAU scenes already together. A lot of these guys have been playing together, working out together on the Olympic squads, the under 17 squads together and everything. It's a little bit different camaraderie, a little bit different feel and flow and vibe. Those teams that Drummond was on, man, oh man. I don't know what
the players
were
that
do. Like
they were so that team was when he said Steve Blake, I totally forgot that team was so together.
Well, it was a team. It was
that
a
team
team
was
of
god awful, man.
Well, it's like the summer blockbuster where it has a great cast where everyone's playing the wrong part. The truth of the matter, and then you throw in the fact that they got like one of the worst directors in Hollywood. They got the production assistant Craig, who was clearly not the most talented out of college. There was clearly someone else that they had available to them that they just passed over, which, essentially they did that multiple times over each and every single year. But I mean, the reality, like there were talented players like Tobias Harris is a really good NBA player in the right situation. The Pistons traded him at the right time because obviously we're seeing now he was not worth a max NBA dollar contract. Luke Kennard was a good NBA player, but where he was drafted, it was not what it was meant to be. Stanley Johnson could have been a really good NBA player, but took his eyes off the prize and went more towards his offensive game in year 2 on. Something we see a lot of young players tend to do.
I think the biggest knock on Luke Kennard's career. The biggest knock on Luke Kennard's career as a whole was him being drafted 1 pick ahead of Donovan Mitchell. That's always going to come back to haunt him because the talent,
the team messed up in picking him.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the talent margin there is so vast that people blame Kennard on that. But like, there's nothing you can do. Like at the time, that was the right pick for the Pistons. I still believe that.
Yeah. I think Kennard had potential, man. It just was like Sean said, sometimes you get drafted to a bad situation, man.
It's the culture, man. It's the culture you're around. Kool-Aid said this team is younger. They all the same age. They grew up together. That's when any team you on, like whether you playing sports or not, wherever your culture is, you're going to adapt to it better. Like those old teams, they were just all over the place. You had Marcus Morris, KCP, Drummond. They weren't really, clicking like that. And this goes to like back on the Pistons to going to work. Before, we got Chauncey and the guys, we weren't – Ben Wallace we weren't winning like that. We had Stackhouse and stuff. I'm a little young, so I get to watch that. But I love my stuff. We had decent teams. We had Cliff and all of them. But then we get to Rasheed, and then you get Darvin Ham and Mike James and all those, blue-collar dudes. The culture mixed. And you see Ben, his lateral quickness. If Dorman gets that, Dorman would be a monster. Because
even
Ben was guarding everywhere.
Williamson,
you had
Mike James. Those guys all had their DNA. All of them, man.
Y'all see the viewer down there. Lamico said, and that's how I feel. He said, when Darren is on the floor, he looks mentally present. Unlike Drummond, he always looks mentally disinterested.
I will agree with that statement, but the stats prove that his disinterest or his look of disinterest never really affected his play. I think people wanted him to be an all-out superstar, that it caused people realistically to miss the fact that he still was, as a center, putting up. We would love Duran to be doing this right now. Andre Drummond was top 10 in the league in stocks.
Drummond was not.
Every
night he was getting 2 steals and 2 blocks a game for a large part of his career.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the back-to-back rebound leader.
We make fun of him, man, but he might be top 5 like rebounders ever, man. Like if you look up the numbers, the efficiency, like we make fun of him and all that, but like Number wise, he was one of them dudes.
But
I mean,
Hey,
Kool-Aid.
do y'all think Drummond could coexist with Duren? Y'all think that could have worked? What do y'all
Well,
think?
I mean,
No,
listen,
not in this
listen,
era.
No
listen,
chance.
listen. Well, that would set basketball back 40 years. But the
Yeah.
ultimate part, the ultimate part of it is like, and this is the thing with Andre. Kool-Aid heard me say this thing before. This is from an NBA scout, who said about Andre Drummond, he can go out and score 20 points and get 20 rebounds, play 30 minutes, and somehow have no impact on the game. And,
and as a basketball player, I would tell that scout, go play the game and say that. That's just impossibly a lie, bro. And I'll tell any scout that to their face. That's bold.
I think there's still I think the sentiment to the fact that he can go out, he can fill up the stat sheet, but at the end of the day, objectively speaking, the win percentages were what they were when he was in Detroit.
That's what the team and the building makeup was.
I know, and I agree with that. I agree with that, but I'm saying that's the part he was cast in. He wasn't cast well for that part. There were things he could have done that's a whole other conversation. We've had the Drummond thing before. That's a whole other. That's an entire.
That's what I was gonna get is that for everything that he was or he wasn't, the thing that I believe does separate him and Duren is that Duren understands the culture of basketball a little bit more. He understands the culture of being coached a little bit more, like being in an actual situation where he's going, like his first year of college basketball, his assistant coach was Rasheed Wallace. Drummond's only year with Rasheed Wallace was probably his best year of basketball. It wasn't stat-wise, but as it relates to his aggressiveness, his focus and things, Rasheed Wallace was the mouth and a voice that we know Andre Drummond had to listen to. It was something where that was probably Rasheed Wallace's main job. And he would talk about, I told him dunk everything. I told him quit with this and soft that. And Rasheed would make faces on the sideline when Drummond would or would not do certain things and would go absolutely crazy for him when he would do things. And we saw Drummond play differently. And it's like when you see that type of, when you see that mechanism working, it's like, dang. So it's like, no, I'm not capping or caping for Andre Drummond. There was just the situation at large just wasn't right. But when you see Duren, you see a guy who looks like he's been to basketball camps. You see a guy who looks like he understands that the defensive principles of, even though he has a ways to go in some regards, he looks like a guy who understands where to be on the court. It doesn't look like he's just benefiting based on the fact that he's tall and athletic and has the reach. He looks like a guy who is highly skilled with a much higher basketball IQ than Andre Drummond. And that's the thing. When you place the type of responsibility that we know Duren has the skill set and the IQ for, if you place that on a player like Andre Drummond, you have to blame your whoever scouted him and whoever selected him way more than what that player would bring to the table. And that's what I'm hoping with Duren. I'm hoping, like I see some people talking about, I'm hoping that the Pistons going into a second year allow Duren to really, really, for Jalen's benefit down there, man, especially really, really just flourish. Just let this guy go out there and just work in the space that he can work, man. I really want to see what he can do. I think he can handle it.
Can I say this too in retrospect to the centers, man? It's a shooter's game now, man. I can't name and Sean, I love to talk to Sean about this because he's almost an expert about it. But Sean, can you name me 5 centers? We ain't talking about Bill Russell. We ain't talking about the last 5 years. Can you name me 5 centers that actually could take over a game?
Well, really, the only ones right now, as far as like centers who can take over the game, you got Joel Embiid. You got Joel Embiid. He's a game changer. Jokic is probably one of the best playmakers. I think Anthony Davis, whether or not you consider him as a center, when he wants to be, when he wants to, he can take over the game on a night-to-night basis. And then outside of that, your traditional post dominating big is just not that's just not what pays the bills anymore. Guys like Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks would have been a top 3, top 5 pick back in the day. Now you're a role playing center for the Knicks. He's tweeting about and liking tweets about how he's not getting touches. Tom Thibodeau says, I don't give a go out and get blocks. You know what I mean? That's the reality of it. And I think it's I think what you're seeing is like the types of dominant big men we're getting are just changing. It's like for example, it's like less of like it's going to look a lot less like Shaq in the future. It's going to look a lot more like guys like Evan Mobley or Giannis, who are like these like really tall wings who, like Giannis, granted, he has more build to him, but Evan Mobley, this like taller, kind of like scrawnier guy who can stretch,
Wemby, perfect
who can
example.
play on the perimeter and who can like help and get rebounds and things like that. Like, you know, I think that
Right.
is much more what the big position is going to look like. So I think,
The
you know,
evolution of the game. Gotcha.
yeah, but to your point, like guys like the Embiids, the Jokic's, like those guys don't come around every day. I saw someone put Domantas Sabonis. He's definitely a guy I'd put in that category. He's been awesome this year. I gotta
definitely go put him there now. Huh?
listen. I gotta take all the L's in the world. Listen. My thing was never with Domantas Sabonis as a player. My thing has always been what the Kings gave up in return. I still stand by the fact that I think that Tyrese Halliburton will be a better player than De'Aaron Fox, and I stand by that unapologetically.
Sabonis is making an NBA team.
Yeah, he's going to be third team All NBA.
He's
a
third team for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry you said that. I wish I would have seen that.
No, hey, yeah, no, I felt it's one of those L's, but you know, hey, I'm the type of person where, like, you know, I look back and I laugh at that. You know what I mean? Like, I can laugh and go, oh, well, here's where I was wrong, because it's okay to be wrong. We're gonna be wrong.
Oh man, I had some takes about Saddiq Bey.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be a stud. And hey, listen, by the way, Saddiq has been really good in Atlanta, but you know what his role is in Atlanta? To sit in the corner and shoot threes. That's it.
You mean what the metrics say is his best, like where he's best at, catch and shoot from the corner?
Yeah, you mean where the Pistons low-key wanted him to do the entire time, but he was kind of trying to do the exact opposite?
I said he was untouchable in a tweet, and it got about like 500 likes last season. It was when he dropped 50 points against Orlando.
Yep.
And I had tweeted him and Cade are untouchable, and they were loving it too. I'm like, yeah. And then the season started, man, and I was just like, oh, this is not gonna age well. And then
here's the thing with Saddiq, it was always lack of consistency. I mean, I knew he'd be the first one to go out of the first four that Troy drafted because of that, for that reason. And I still consider him a hit because he got his James Wiseman, who I think is going to be he's still going to be a lot better than what we think he's going to be. So that was the interesting thing about Saddiq, because he to me he was always the first one to be going.
Yeah, and I think you know, and we even talked about it at the beginning of the season. I think I even said this when they acquired Bojan Bogdanovic. I remember saying during that table talk, that was gonna be the test for Saddiq Bey, because you talk about what Bojan's been ever since he's come to the Pistons. Like, Bojan Bogdanovic isn't a star, but you know what he is? A consistent bucket, a borderline 50, 40, 90 candidate each and every year on his highest volume of his career as well. Like, the guy, like, he might not be the best player on the defensive end, but he was the guy that was keeping Detroit in games all season long. And people are like, oh, well, he might not be able to play as much of a role next year. It's like, well, he doesn't have to. With Cade Cunningham back, with Jaden Ivey taking another step, like, are you telling me like a sixth man Bojan, like a guy who can come off your bench and get you like a steady 15 every single night? Like, that is valuable as hell. So when people are saying we had to trade him, I was like, do we have to? Because it's like, do you know how hard it is to find guys that are as good as him in the first round? Like, do you know how many 50, 40, 90 guys are in the first round every year? I'll just answer. Not many. Very little.
Not many. Those are the only answers. That's it. But look, I want to talk about Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller, and what the Detroit Pistons should do if they are not lucky enough, if they're not blessed by the basketball gods with Victor Wembanyama. I mean, they're doing a fabulous job in their Sick for Vic campaign. They don't look like they're purposely trying to tank, even though they find themselves with all these top draft picks, a pretty good kind of stable future, and an opportunity realistically to pick a good player while still changing all of their fortunes this offseason. But I was talking with Rob Beard of the Detroit News this week. on the Woodward Pistons podcast. So you guys can check out what he had to say as well in the last episode. And we were talking about who would be the better fit for the Pistons at 2. And his notion is, doesn't matter about better fit when the best player available is Scoot Henderson, hands down. He is the guy that can transform this organization, is the sense that I got. Not that Brandon Miller doesn't have elite three-point shooting ability and the ability to really plug a hole as it relates to being a 6'9", kind of Jeremy Grant role. He has some defensive chops, some areas I would like to see him get better, as well as with finishing at the rim. But Scoot Henderson, I know some people are not necessarily keen on his three-point shooting at the moment, especially his catch and shoot, which is going to be vital if he's ever playing in a 3-guard lineup with guys like Cade, Ivey, or whatnot. But my take on this was this. I believe Scoot Henderson as well is next level. And if the Pistons wound up with him, I believe that the best fit for him, for the best player, will be in a role similar to the way that the Indiana Pacers are currently utilizing Benedict Mathurin. Allow him to be able to kind of go and don't care. We came into the season, right, all salivating at the thoughts of a 3-guard rotation of Cade, Ivey, and Killian. And whatever the potential that could give. When I hear some people bring up this whole notion of you got to trade out of the second pick because we already got 2 guards, I just kind of pause for a second because I'm like, guys, some of the things we complaining about right now, even when we get Cade back, we know it's still not enough ball handlers on the squad. We still have Kojo lineups. Like, it's not enough playmakers on this team. It's not enough athleticism on this team. It's not enough speed on this team. It's not enough end-to-end speed either on this squad. So I want to be able to go around. Sean, definitely start off with you, man. Want to get your take on it. I know that Brandon Miller fits, he'll definitely fill some holes on this squad, but where's your head at? If the Pistons find themselves at second, is Scoot just that all-world talent, or is Brandon Miller the guy who plugs the immediate hole that the Pistons have on the roster on the wing?
Yeah, listen, man. Brandon Miller is a really good talent.
Hold on, Sean, before you start. So, look, Kool-Aid, y'all, Carl, Sean, and Mr. Balone. I love the name because my son. So I got to put my son to sleep, man. Y'all know you're autistic. I'm going to have to leave table talk, but I'm going to actually get with you guys later on. I'm loving the talk. I hated I couldn't stay. He's sitting there looking at me. Of course, I got to give him melatonin and talking down. But I appreciate you guys, man. And I'm here. We family. And like I said, Carl, sing some music. Balone, follow me, man. I'm going to follow you back. We all follow each other. I know I follow Sean. And, we already connected. Jalen, you down there, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want send me the link back next time, man. Like I said, it's just end of the week. This is what I do. This is daddy duties. And Detroit basketball, man. Detroit sports, man. This is what we do, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Definitely. Thanks for
Take care, man. Definitely, man. See y'all later.
Definitely, brother. Hey, blessings. God bless.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, guys. I'm actually going to head
Jack.
out. I'm going to do the same thing, actually, because I got an 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Hey,
school,
Charles.
so.
Yeah, it is.
You
it
guys-
is 11 p.m. Kool-Aid, just in case
guys
you're
know how
not
the grind
checking the
is?
time.
Charles intern, he's sitting here acting like he got to go and grind from school. He act like I didn't get the memo already that there's this big old party going on. Come on, man. And he didn't even invite us.
Nah, I don't party, bro. But I
Do
wish.
you believe that, Shy?
It's cap, but it's okay.
It's a little bit. But yeah, I'm actually gonna head out too. But yeah, like he was saying, I appreciate you guys for having me on this, and it was a good talk. Obviously, it was just good information. It's always good information, getting that in my brain and processing it and doing knowing what to do with it and talking to you guys. So yeah, hopefully I'll be on this again soon, and it was fun for sure.
Hey, keep grinding, brother. Definitely, hey, proud of you, man. Just keep grinding.
I appreciate you, Carl, Sean. Good talking to you guys.
Yep. Take care, man.
Hey, take care, man.
See you, man.
See you, brother.
Definitely.
So anyway, what I was saying with Scoot Henderson, with Brandon Miller, he's a really good player. Really like what he brings. Obviously, he's a wing that can score. The number one mistake we always make whenever a guy who's over 6'10" that can shoot the basketball, who can handle the ball, is we always start comparing them to a guy whose name starts with a K and ends with Evan Durant. And I personally think that that is the biggest mistake you can make. Whenever people say that, I go, shut the up. Let this guy be him. I'm not even going to make a comp because, we just play too many dangerous games when we go down that route. I will say though.
Are you telling me he could actually become Austin Day instead?
So anyway, after that painful reminder, all that to say, listen, man, it would be a very 2000s Joe Dumars move to pass up on Scoot Henderson because the potential that this guy has, I mean, this is a guy that, is getting, player comps that I'm not afraid to overreact to because, the flashes, like this guy has flashes of Derrick Rose, John Morant, like special guards who, can change the game, but also like you listen to this guy in interviews, he's a special type of competitor, like this guy has a special attitude to him. And, watching him go up against Victor Wembanyama, seeing how unafraid he was, how he embraced the challenge, everything about him is special. And I know Sam Vecini brought up the point of, with Philadelphia, they drafted Nerlens Noel, they drafted Jahlil Okafor, and they drafted Joel Embiid all consecutively. And the reason they did that was because they went to get their star. And with Detroit, you could have it work out to where all three guys could potentially be star caliber players. But ultimately, similar to Cleveland with like Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, you can figure out who fits your system better and, what you can do later. But I mean, with the Pistons, they're in no luxury situation to pass on talent for the sake of fit. Even if we like what we have right now, we still have the worst record in the league for a reason. So you don't draft for fit when you're among the bottom three teams in the league. You just don't. So that's my opinion.
Jalen, I see you shaking your head down there, brother. I gotta get those opinions right now, brother.
Man, I like Brandon Miller.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I already like the way you started. I already like this. What's up, man?
Hey, I like Brandon Miller. So I'm not saying my word is law. This is my philosophy. Is all it is. Scoot Henderson. Do you want to pass up on him? That's my question.
I think me and Scoot are the same height, or a little bit. Is he 6'2"? I think he's small, right? I think Scoot's about 6'2", right?
Hey, Jalen.
Yeah.
How tall is Isaiah Thomas?
Oh, we comparing Scoot to Isaiah? Oh, no.
No, we're not. What I'm saying is,
no.
No.
No, I'm joking.
What I'm saying is whenever in this city have we ever count out the little guy?
Well, that is true. That is true. Isaiah was about 6 feet, 6'1", so I'll give you that. But Scoot, I like Scoot. I was big on Scoot early in the year. And then Brandon Miller happened. He got to having a good season, and then the situation happened with him at his school, and then after that, he got better. It seemed like, so he's just he can't play defense. I will say that his defense is a little questionable, but I feel like if we do run the 3-guard lineup with Scoot, Jaden, and Cade, it's a wild take. Cade would be the 3, right?
Oh, I would bring Scoot off the bench personally.
Oh, okay. Because it can go both ways. Cade can be the 3, 6'6", 6'7", or you can put Scoot to the bench and have Bogey, Ivey and Cade. But if we do that, I'd like to see Cade go to the 3. Because I feel like
listen,
tell me how that works.
I mean, just throwing this out. You like imagine these guys all developing like what we think they could potentially be. Imagine a lineup of Scoot, Ivey, Cade, Wiseman, Duren.
Yeah, like that's the dream lineup. If we did, I would love to see Cade move to the 3. He's big. He's gotten bigger, about 6'6", 6'7". Mm-hmm. Ivy's a 6'4". He could be a good 2, and then Scoot at the 1.
Yeah, his wingspan's like almost 7 feet too. Like Jaden Ivey's got some length on his arms. Like if he can improve on the defensive end, that would be the real X factor. Because that's the thing is because like the thing that would have to make the 3-guard lineup work. Like traditionally, like when you have smaller guards like that, to your point, Jalen, if you are going to go get like top prospects and you are looking at intangibles and like if you are differentiating between 2 prospects, looking at and pointing out that Scoot Henderson is undersized is a valid argument. But what I would say is like the way that you would have to make that work is you have to, like, if you're going to have to hide at least one of those guards on the defensive end, those other two have to be able to step up. With Cade, we're not worried about that. We already know he's solid.
100%.
We've seen him play good defense on this level. With Jaden Ivey, we know he has the physical intangibles too. It's all about up here. It's all about the developmental side, the IQ side of the defensive end. If those two guys can hold up and be studs on defense, then that works. If it doesn't, then that's where the conversation of that lineup dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I just don't know where I don't know what we do with Miller if we got him, because are you gonna bench Are you gonna bench Bogey and whatnot? Are you gonna put him down there, or like what are we doing with Brandon Miller?
I think I think next year I think whoever the best player is starts. I don't think next year we're quite on the player development side. So I think whoever the better player is on opening day starts. I think you have a competition in training camp.
I mean, either or works with me, because I mean, you get Bogey off the bench. I mean, barring any injuries, he's a bucket, so that'd be good offense, second unit. But I want Brandon Miller, but I feel like I'd have more fun watching the 3-guard lineup. And I've always wanted Cade to play like the 3. I've said this like a year ago. I'm like, he's a big guard,
Mm-hmm.
If he gets his shot back, he had at Oklahoma State, possibly, or anything close to that, it'd be nasty. And Ivey gets better. We get Scoot. It'd be sick. So
I like that. It'd be interesting to see. And at these stages of kind of the rebuild, it's like you kind of want to see interesting. What was you gonna say, Carl?
Well, so number one, we're getting Victor Wembanyama. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So this whole conversation is pointless. But just in case we don't get Victor, you pick the best player available and don't think twice about it. You figure out the rest later. And whoever Troy Weaver thinks that is, whether it's Brandon Miller or Scoot, I'm down with it. We just, we need to start winning next season.
Oh, you got the comments going.
I mean,
I love you, bro.
Well, that's the thing, is it could totally be a mute. Like, that's the thing about pre-lottery. Everything we're talking about right now could be totally mute and point. Like, we could be we could end up with the first pick. We could end up, we could end up anywhere. But we're gonna end up with the first pick. But in all seriousness, like I think it's just I understand, like people like looking at the composition of this team and going, well, Brandon Miller would be an obvious fit. When your team is in this section of the standings, even with as much young talent as we have, and even as optimistic as we are, and even as confident as we are in guys like Cade, you still don't have the luxury to pick for fit. That's my opinion. You just don't. You got to get a star, whatever position that is.
Do you believe that Brandon Miller has any star potential, or do you believe he has like?
Oh, he has star potential. If you're asking me if I'm going to go to the casino right now, and of all three of and of any guy in this draft that I think is most likely to be an all-star, I think it's going to be Scoot Henderson. Obviously,
and that's
Victor
after
Wembanyama.
Vic, yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Well, I mean, if Vic's like I like the most likely, like Vic could get injured. You really never know. To me, like Scoot's like the surefire thing. You know what I mean? I think you could potentially look back on this draft like the Zion Ja draft, where Zion was the obvious pick, like Victor's the obvious pick at the time. And he could potentially, we don't know like what his injury, like how he's going to hold up throughout his career. Like Scoot could potentially be the real gem of this draft. That's possible.
Yeah. Every logical bone in my body, and Sean, you understand that's what I try to lean towards, says Brandon Miller, but every aspect of what Jaden was saying, like, I just want to see it. Just every aspect of like what the next level of potential is for him. You're right. I believe that his ceiling to be an absolute superstar is higher than Brandon Miller's. I really do. I think Scoot Henderson has an opportunity to go out there and just be that guy who can't be defended. Think about what we were saying. We were just sitting here doing the draft show. We were talking about Jaden Ivey. We were like, what will this man do with NBA spacing? I remember sitting on here yelling it, screaming it. He's going to run right around people, hit the middle of this space, the middle of the paint, and it's going to be like a trampoline to him. And we've seen Jaden Ivey do that. He can take the ball, rebound, or off of the defense score, the other team scoring, and in a blur, be down the court. Has it got him into some trouble? Yes, but he's been getting that under control lately. And then that mid-range, being able to get to that spot because nobody can realistically stay in front of him. We continue to state, listen, this is going to be something vital in his career. That's why I called him Little D Wade. And now we see that mid-range coming around. Bro, imagine Scoot freaking Henderson.
Yep.
I'm talking about somebody who's showing to be a little bit faster with the basketball and even a little bit more athletic, controlled athleticism, not just, even more controlled athletically, I believe, than Jaden Ivey has shown so far. And I know at the height and things that nature, that's going to play some role. But I don't know, man. I get excited about what Scoot will be able to bring athletically. Look how much better Ivy and Duran has made our team look athletically. Just those two rookies.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, and I will say to close this segment and probably start closing the night because it is almost 11:30. Scoot said at the Rising Stars Challenge, he was asked who he wanted to play with in the league, and he wanted to play with guys, and he named two specific players. I want to play with guys like Chris Paul and John Morant. And I found those two players very interesting because what's a player comp we make for Cade all the time? People call him a taller Chris Paul, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jaden Ivey often gets that comparison to John Morant. So I'm just saying that's who Scoot wants to play with. He's got exactly that in Detroit.
Yeah, I see people mentioning the defense. That is, I'm telling you, it weighs heavy on my decision making. Like the defense is huge here, and Brandon Miller, like I said, on every logical aspect, he to me is supposed to be that guy. I think that he does have the potential to. I've seen this comp a couple other times to be this Paul George type. Paul George defensively was an animal, was a monster. So I do believe that Brandon Miller has a ways to go to reach there. But I think that all the tools are in place to get there. I like Brandon Miller. I feel like everything we talked about when Jeremy Grant was traded and everybody else was saying this was great for the team. We were coming on this channel saying, hey, I think we are underestimating the loss of Jeremy Grant week after week after week after week, man, for a long time.
Yep,
and now we see
one of the
their
storylines
biggest
we
hole.
said at the beginning of the season. How will that gap be filled? Like that presence will be missed.
Yeah, so trust me, I want that position filled, but I feel like the Pistons can actually go and acquire that easier.
Go get Jeremy Grant.
Than to go get a guy like what Scoot Henderson provides. If I believed that there is absolutely no way to go and get that, it does change it just a little bit. It'll make me have to look a little bit more difficulty. Look a little bit more close. But I don't know. When I look at Scoot Henderson, it's kind of the same stuff, the same vibes that I got from Cade Cunningham. And y'all remember, if you guys were around and saw the draft lottery coverage and all of that, then guys, I'm telling you, Cade Cunningham had it. When the media started coming out, when Detroit got the number one pick and started talking about other players, Jalen Green and all that, nah. You look at the game of Scoot Henderson, man, it's next level there. He has to get there. His defense and or the lack thereof is going to make it real tough on him.
But he has everything, man. Like everything you look for in a future all-star. Like just go listen to Scoot Henderson talk for 2 minutes, and you'll know everything you need to know. Like he's got that dog in him.
It's gonna be interesting, man. And yeah, look. Any last words from Jalen, from Carl, before we wrap?
I'm gonna say
can't wait for Victor Wembanyama to join our team. That's my last words.
I'm with him. I hope so, man.
Of course, man. I mean, hey, regardless, I think we're going to be in a good spot. I mean, obviously, I know I saw some mock drafts having us at 5 today, and I was like, no, get the out of here with that. But I mean, no matter what, I trust Troy. Ultimately, what do I know? You know what I mean? Like, freaking Troy Weaver compared to me is like a freaking well of knowledge.
Well, it's a good thing that you're friends with him. That you and Troy.
I mean, me and Troy Weaver, two clams, It's two homies.
Oh man, well look, I'm glad that we were able to do this, man. Able to kind of get the band-aid ripped off. We're gonna do this definitely a lot more consistently too.
I forgot to mention myself, and for at least a little bit, Kool-Aid will tomorrow night be at the Motor City Cruise game as they are playing a win or go home game. So if you're in the building at Wayne State Fieldhouse, come say what's up, man. Come say hi. Looking forward to it. And if you don't have anything going on Friday night, consider coming out to the Wayne State Fieldhouse, man. Come support the Cruise.
Yeah, come by and say what's up. I'm trying to get down there a little bit early. I will be leaving at about 7:30. You guys know, just out of religious observations, from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday, I refrain from work, but I try and engage in family activity, trying to do good things for people out there. And it's really not because I think anything of myself. It's made me a more palatable person for my wife, my kids, and my friends. So I try to stay clued into things that I think can help make me a better person, and support people. So I look forward to it. This is something that when I knew Sean was coming down, I was like, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely,
I'm happy
man.
for this too, bro. We gotta get this picture.
Yeah, we
too.
gotten a picture together, just Kool-Aid night. It's ridiculous to me.
Date night on me again. Burger
King. Yeah, unreal, man. But hey, man, we want to thank you all so much for tuning in to Woodward Pistons Table Talk. This is a long one. We appreciate you all being here and joining us. A long one for being gone for so long. Feels so good. Jalen, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where can people go follow you and support your work, man?
They can find me at Jalen HTV. That's JAYLEN HTV. That's my main Twitter and Instagram, and then all the extra stuff, the media content, videos, the motivational speaking, all that is gonna be my bio. So I just tap in and follow me. I'm active on everything, so just follow me, and I'll talk to y'all. Chop it up.
Yeah, you're a real dude, man. Always appreciate running into
joining, brother.
Man. You're a good dude.
Yes, sir.
Carl, where can people go find your work, man? If they don't know, now they'll know. Where can they find Carl Collins?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Carl Collins Prod, or at Carl Collins Prod is the handle for all 4 platforms. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then you can follow myself at Sean Halfcourt, my guy Kool-Aid at Detroit Kool-Aid. Be sure you're subscribed to Woodward Pistons for all the content we have coming each and every day, but also over at From Half Court, where we'll have some special content coming out over there as well. Was able to interview Ryan Terrell of the Cruise the other night, and that interview should be going up soon on the From Half Court channel. So with that, folks, thank you all so much for tuning in, being a part of this family, supporting each and every one of us here on this channel. We appreciate each and every one of you that tunes in and is a part of this community. If you're at the game tomorrow night, please come say hi. And with that, we thank you all so much. We'll catch you guys next time here on Woodward Pistons Table Talk.
Yeah, and definitely appreciate you.
Subscribe.
And appreciate you all for being here. There's a lot more content that is on the way from some of our Woodward Sports and Woodward Pistons contributors, as well as some other contributors from just around the interwebs. Just again, thank you, Sean. Bro, this is always a blast. Carl, bro, this was awesome to see you tap in tonight. And hopefully we can get the whole OG crew back together. We got the live stream watch party that's coming up. We're still planning some details. We're trying to figure out if it's going to be for a actual Pistons game or if it's going to be for the draft lottery. But we're going to see what's what. But appreciate y'all, man. Let's rock, man.
Let's rock.
Hey, let's get that Shania West on the way out.
Hey, we out of this thing. Catch y'all later, baby.
Are out. That boy Sean look tired, man.